Hi, I'm Jonathan Kauser with LazyLizard.net, and today we're going to talk about migrating your WordPress website in case you ever have to move it. You may need to move it to a different subfolder on your domain, or you may need to move it to a different server along with your domain name, or you may need to move it to a different domain name on a different server or on the same server. Anytime you have to move a WordPress site, it is complicated. Without the right plugin, it can be nearly downright impossible. So I'm going to show you a great plugin that I've been using for several years. I've used it on hundreds of sites because we migrate. We help people when they change their hosting to Lazy Lizard and they have a WordPress site. We'll migrate it for them. And this is what we use. It's a secret of the trade. We don't charge anything, as you'll see. No need to. It's so easy. So we're going to look at migrating a site with this plugin. I'll show you how to use it. It's very, very simple. It's called All-in-One WP Migration plugin. That's the name of the plugin. It's been around for several years. When I first started using it several years ago, they had about 10,000 users, I think. Today they have over 2 million. They have great reviews. They update it all the time. These are two things you want to look at when you install a plugin. You want to make sure they keep it current. You want to make sure they have enough users to where the developer is motivated to keep working on it and keep it updated. So you'll see here that it was updated last a couple of weeks ago, and that's what you want to see. And you want to see a lot of users. Not every plugin has 2 million users, but I would say anything over even 50,000 is usually pretty good. Even 50,000 will keep developers motivated to keep working on the product. So that's what we're going to look at. Let's take a look at it, and let's flip over to the computer screen. All right, so the first thing we're going to do in this process is we're going to copy this site, and we're going to copy it over to another site. So what we want to do is go to the admin area, and we will go, okay, let me show you this plugin. It's called All-in-One WP Migration, and it does a fabulous, amazing job of transferring and migrating your WordPress sites either to, like I said, another location on your current site, maybe another folder. You're going to put it in a subfolder, or to another server altogether. And the process works exactly the same way either way, whether you're going to move it to a different location on your current server, or if you're going to move it to an entirely new server. All right, so we go down here. It's what you want to click on is over here on the left, All-in-One WP Migration Export. We're going to export this site, Know the Net, okay? Export to, I'm going to export it to a file. And now it does the process. So this is a very small site. It's just a demo site, something I play around with and use for YouTube videos. So it's only 7 megabytes, so it's very small. This plugin will let you use the free version for up to 512 megabytes, so about half a gigabyte you can get, and you don't have to pay them a dime. But it's very, very good. The free version and the paid version work exactly the same, except you can't do anything over half a gig with the free version. So, most people, their WordPress sites are less than that. So it's done, and we're just going to let that sit on the hard drive for a minute. You can upload it, notice, to all kinds of different things, to a file. I usually do it to a file on my computer. FTP, Dropbox, this means you can transfer it to another site. Dropbox, Google Drive, Amazon S3, blah, blah, blah. Pretty much everything, Google Cloud, everything. So whatever you want to upload it to or download it to or save it to, you can. All the choices are there, which is great. Now, this is what the site looks like. This is my old site. Now I'm going to move this to a new server with a different domain name. And that's a trick with WordPress migrations. If you have a different domain name and you don't have this plugin, you have to go through all kinds of crazy headaches and hassles making changes to a ton of different lines in the or tables in the database. And if you miss one, it's not going to work. There's all kinds of references on a WordPress site that reference the domain name that it's on, that reference the location, the subfolder it may be in or may not be in. And you would have to go into the database and make all those changes yourself. So this saves you from all that. So I am going to migrate to this site, which currently looks like this. All right. And to do that, we are first going to install WordPress onto this site. This site is called Idea Community. So we're going to move from knowthenet.net to Idea Community. And by the way, I would be willing to sell both of those domains for the right price, which I have no idea what it is, but I would sell them for the right price. It wouldn't be too much. We're not talking $100,000 or anything like that. Okay, so anyway, let's go to our cPanel for this Idea Community site, because we're going to install WordPress here now. All right, and we're going to go to public. The directory is empty, so now this site is empty. What I showed you here was a cache of the original home page. Beautiful, right? So we're going to upload our WordPress to here and click upload. This is the cPanel FTP software, which works great. I love it. And I'm purposely going to upload an older version of WordPress. It's now up to 5 point something. This is going to be 4.9.1. All right. Because I'll show you how it works fine, even if you're uploading to an older version. We're going to click reload. And all right, where did that file go? It should be here. Okay, there it is. Sorry about that. All right, so this is our zip file, and it comes in a tar file too, so either one doesn't matter. The cool thing about cPanel FTP is you can extract this in place without having to extract it before you upload, which makes your upload smaller and quicker and a lot easier. Okay, so there are all the files. When you extract it, of course, it puts it in a new directory. I'm first going to delete this just to keep everything good and clean here. Delete. All right. So WordPress, I'm going to take all these files and I'm going to move them back to the main public HTML directory. And again, on cPanel FTP, this is very easy to do. You can't do this on with most FTP programs. So you can actually drag and drop on cPanel FTP. Okay, we're looking good. And I'm going to delete that folder that was created by the extraction of the zip file. All right, skip the trash. All right, so we're good to go. Now, we have to set up the database on the site. So let's do that while we're at it. And so we're on an Idea Community, and we're going to set up a database. And to do that, we are going to go down here to MySQL databases. You can choose this too. The database wizard, it does the same thing, except it only shows you one step at a time. It walks you through each step. You click next, it takes you to a new screen with the next step. This one I like better just because it has everything on the same screen, so it's very easy. So I'm going to create a database. I'm going to call it that. And this video isn't about how to create a database. I actually have that on another video, which I'll link to. But it's about how to move your site, how to migrate your site to a new location. So I'm not going to go into detail or really talk much about what I'm doing here, okay? But you have to have a user for each database. So I'm going to add a user. I'm going to call it the same thing. And let me put a password in there. Create user. All right. Not now, LastPass. All right. So I have the user and the database, and I'm going to add them to join them to each other. So this database will have a user. You give the user all privileges on the database, and you're good to go. So our database is good to go. Yay. All right. So now we're going to go to this. This was the original site. Now you may have WordPress already installed on a site when you do this. If you do, that's fine. This is going to overwrite everything. But I had well, what you see, I had this. I'm going to refresh it, and it's gone. And now the WordPress startup routine is on the screen. And we're going to start. I'm going to type in the database name. The username is the same. password is that. I don't care if you copy it, I really don't. And we'll leave that prefix as WP underscore as they always do. Run the installation, yay. Okay, let's just give the site a name. It doesn't matter what I put here because it's all going to change very shortly. And we'll put a new password. All right. And we'll put some email account. And install WordPress. And it's installing. All right, we're good to go. So I'm going to use, what did I use for the username? Well, I don't know. We'll see if this works. And we'll see if that works. Okay, so we got it. We have the new WordPress installation on the new site where the old site will be imported to. The first thing you want to do is upgrade. You want both versions of WordPress to be exactly the same, which usually means you should update the version on your original site first before you do the export, before you export all your files in your database. It's advisable to always update that to the latest version of WordPress, and then when you get this installed, if you happen to have installed an older version like I did on purpose to show you this, click and update it now. You want both sites running the exact same version of WordPress. That's very important. Okay, so we are doing that right now. And it's done. So we're ready to go. We have the newest version on both sites. All right. So now we're ready to go with the import process, which starts off with first installing the import-export plugin. So we want to do that first. So all-in-one WP migration. And it should come up right here. There we go. Installing and activate. So we're good to go. It is ready to go. So you see we have Akismet anti-spam, we have all-in-one migration, which I just installed, and we have Hello Dolly, which I'm going to leave on here for a little while to show you something. I want to make a point of that. Notice on the original site, we don't have Hello Dolly. Okay, so what's going to happen when it imports this original site, it's not going to delete Hello Dolly. It won't delete plugins that you have on the new site if they don't exist on the original site. It will not delete those. Okay, that's important to know. You may need to know that in certain situations. But if you have plugins here that we don't have over here, it will bring them in. And in fact, if you have plugins that are a different version here than what you have here, it will bring in the different version. It will bring in exactly what you have on the original site. Okay, so it's going to bring Easy Updates Manager. Notice on the new site, there's no Easy Updates Manager because I haven't put that on here. But it will bring that over automatically, which is great. So the next step is to go to all-in-one migration, import, and we're going to import from the file, which is right here. Importing done, very quick because it's only 7 megabytes. All right, so it's giving you a warning. The import process will overwrite your website, including the database, media plugins, and themes. So please ensure you have a backup of your data before proceeding to the next step. This is not a frivolous warning. This is something you need to pay attention to. If you have an existing site in the new location, and if it's important that that site be back up and running, if anything goes wrong with this process, with this migration process, if anything goes wrong and you need that site back up and running, you have to make a copy of all your files, database, plugins, and themes, okay? You want a full copy, files and database. Very important. I don't need to do that here because this is all set up for demo purposes. And if it all falls apart, I don't really care. So preparing, finish. Now there are two things, one thing really that you have to do. Once this completes, save permalink structure, all right? And then they ask you to review the plugin, which if this works for you, you should go give them 5 stars because that's, you know, the right thing to do. Help them out because they really do a good job. I've been using this for years and I've never once had a problem with it. I've used it on a ton of migrations on WordPress because at Lazy Lizard, we import sites for new clients. If we have a client from another hosting company who's signing up with us and they have a WordPress site, we'll do this for them. We'll do the import for them automatically. And everything will move over to our servers as soon as their domain points to us. So it works very well. All right, so we have the import done. I'm going to reload, check out where we are. Now here, it's asking us to log in, but guess what? We're not going to log in with the information we just created the site with. We have to log in with the login information from the old site, from the original site, okay? Because guess what? It imported the database from the original site, and in the database is the login information from the original site. So whatever that is, that's what it is here and now. So I'm going to log in. All right, password. This is not a secure connection, and there's another plugin that we recommend to put on your site that will force a secure connection when you log in. So your login info gets sent over the internet encrypted and hackers can't intercept it along the way. That's in another video. I'll put a link to that video on here too. All right, so we're logged in. We're on the new site. Yay. And remember, the next thing we have to do is check out the permalinks. And that's down here in settings, permalinks. Okay? So what happens is they have changed, when you import a site, they change it to this. You have to do this real quick. Save it as plain, and then I like to use post name, which most people do for search engine purposes. Google likes that a lot. And now change it back to post name if that's what you had it as before. Whatever you had this set as on your original site, it won't be there anymore. Or, well, unless you had month and or day and name, whatever it was. Yeah, I think it was day and name. Or month. Anyway, whatever it is when it comes, you have to check and make sure it's what you want it to be and what it was on your old site. And if you want to change it, you can change it here as well. So let's go take a look at the site. There we go. It looks exactly like the old site. Okay. Here's the old site. Here's the new site. The new site has the admin bar at the top because we're logged in, and the old site doesn't. But you can see they're exactly the same. So it did a very, very good job. So that's it. It's very simple. I hope this helped you. There are a lot of reasons you might want to move your site. And the worst thing is when people are with the host they don't like and they're afraid to move because they think moving their WordPress site is going to be too complicated and too impossible to do. So this shows you it's not impossible at all. It's very simple, actually, very easy. Unless you have a hugely complicated site that you've spent thousands of dollars with developers on, then you might, you would get your developers to help you move it. But for the average WordPress site that most users have, this plugin does the trick. So I also mentioned a couple of other videos I would link to. You'll see the videos on the screen popping up any moment now. One was how to force your WordPress into secure mode at all times. So I have a video on my top recommended plugins, which I'll show you. And I also have a video on how to install WordPress on cPanel servers, which will include a section on how to create a database on a cPanel server. I said I wasn't going to go into detail on that, but I would give you a link to a video that does that, and it's right here. So thanks for watching.